Stacker News Live. We got Super Testnet here. Can you believe it, Keyan?
I can believe it. Nice.
Is he stuck?
Yeah.
Is it stuck? That's super. How's it going?
Dude, things are great.
Well, great. You got your. Have you named the tiger on your shirt yet?
Scoot up a little bit.
No, but I got new pants. Check this out.
Wow.
And I did name those. Those are named Pete.
Pete the Pants?
Yeah, because I've had the same pants for over a year now, and they had a really bad hole, and then they got a worse hole, and now I got new pants.
Excellent. Are they the same pants that you had before? Just a new generation?
I think they're the newer model.
Nice.
Keyan, how was your week?
My week was it was
crazy.
great.
It's been crazy, right?
Yeah. What did we do? We went had Max Webster visited from Hive Mind, and we hung out, and then we went to the Coin Center Gala.
Doxed.
Which why is that doxed? Who got doxed? I mean, I'm doxing me as having gone to the Coin Center Gala. We went to the we as in an anonymous group of people, including me, and with me in it. We went to the Coin Center Gala, and it was fun.
I don't like it when you tell people where I've been, my friend.
Oh, but you haven't been. You didn't go there. But yeah,
I still don't like it when you tell people where I've been.
Oh, okay. That was cool. I met Nick Carter, which was fun. I also saw Eric Voorhees in a tuxedo. He was like the most dressed man at the whole event.
Dang, sounds like you had a great time.
Yeah, it was a blast.
Yeah, it's been crazy here at the lab. We've had a lot of people visit. Yeah, too many to name. I'm sure they don't want to be mentioned, or maybe they do. Who knows? But it's been a great week for Austin Bitcoin scene. It's been awesome. They're doing some amazing stuff at the Commons too this week. We had the first Nakamoto speaker debate. I heard Barber lost. That's what I'm hearing. And then like ABDC, Lit Devs, and then of course Bitcoin Plus is this week.
I heard the solar energy guy won the debate over
That's what I heard too. Yeah.
Like, should we use hydro, or should we use renewable energy, or should we use whatever the other kind is?
Yeah,
non-renewable energy, and the renewable guy won, which I was surprised to hear. Apparently, he pulled a nuclear card.
Oh,
he said you can use nuclear, and apparently that counts as whatever his side was.
That makes sense. Yeah, that makes
I wonder, it's nuclear actually renewable, or is it just like relatively like renewable? Is it like a?
Well, I don't think it is, but I think that the mistake of Barber did Barber win or lose? I forget.
He lost, according to Carr.
Barber's mistake.
This is what I heard. This is how rumors start.
The debate thesis was hydrocarbons are the most energy dense way of doing mining, or something like that.
For the record, stackers, we're not experts in this. I have no idea if this is true or not.
So he didn't have to. The solar guy didn't have to prove that solar was the best. He just had to prove that anything other than hydrocarbons was the best.
Oh, so you're saying, were you there?
No, I talked to people who went.
Oh, okay. There you go. You heard it here first. Anyway, but Bitcoin Plus is this week.
Yeah, exciting.
There's a lot of people are talking there right now. I think who's Buck?
Austin
Topher. Who's the other? Oh, Woosley. Yeah, they're all speaking right now at Bitcoin Plus. It's all live stream, so definitely watch that. Pay some sats, contribute, and then tomorrow I'll be out there. Are you coming tomorrow, or you have to work?
I'm gonna work probably.
Okay, you got the outer space stuff, and then you're speaking tomorrow, right? Yeah, and then there's a hackathon on Sunday. It's gonna be amazing times. We're throwing a party here at the lab tonight.
We're both doing space stuff, Keyan and I, because I'm doing space chain and he's doing outer space.
Yeah, maybe they'll meet in space.
All right. Well,
at some point.
With that, Stackers, we're going to drop into the top 5 stories of the week here on Stacker News Live. The first top story is Show SN Perturnio. This is a full-text search engine for Bitcoin. 26,000 sats, 19 comments from Perturnio. Keyan, what is this?
What is this? You're right.
It's Perturnio for one thing, not Petrino. And it might be. I think it might be op return IO, but he skipped the O of op.
Oh, it's a great. Yeah, that's probably is. That might be what it is. Or he's like Italian or something. Anyway, this is like a really cool search engine. It allows you to search the time chain for op returns and other stuff. For instance, here I searched for Stacker News, and it looks like Stacker News has popped up in op returns a couple times. This one I did with Ben Carmen's op return bot, like, I don't know, a long time ago, like when Stacker News launched. And then it looks like there have been a few more. The one was just Stacker News, and another one was this it's like someone linked to this item, which is kind of hilarious, like, because it's sort of a mediocre, like, why would you want to link to that forever? I don't know, but
it was a free post too, so he actually ended up paying more.
yeah, to get it on the blockchain. But yeah, it's really cool, and you can search inscriptions. He kind of describes everything that you can do. Got a lot of feedback in the comments, but you can search inscriptions for text-based content. I'm trying to see if there's anything else that might be kind of interesting. So you can look, you can look inside the BRC20 crap, and I don't know, pretty cool. Did you guys check this out at all?
Seems like a waste of time. No, I'm kidding. That's really cool. I like projects like that.
Yeah. So we had Fanis. He said, "Amazing tool, well done. Also love op return." And he did diamond hands. Perturnio. He said Perturnio animation.
Yeah, he has a similar problem with the name as you do.
And then then the OP said, "So the backstory there is when I started the project last year, I was only focused on searching op return transactions. As I got into it, I discovered plain text was also stored in Coinbase transactions, and then ordinals got released. But I still love the name, and so I kept it, and that's where the animation came from. I appreciate the feedback. I'll let the designer know." Cool.
Yeah, when you search, it does. Oh yeah, so at the top here, there's like
it's pretty dope.
It is a pretty cool animation.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay, so our next top story is Superstore, a simple Bitcoin web store. Start selling stuff in seconds. This is 14,000.3 sats, 41 comments from a Super Testnet. Is this the same Super Testnet that's in the room?
That's the same Super Testnet. He's right here.
What?
Yeah.
So this was actually your pick last week, Keyan, and then I guess did it make the top 5 again? How did that happen?
Yeah, so it was my top pick last week because I wasn't sure what would happen with it, and it was posted right beforehand, and then it did end up making the top 5, and then Super has another product he just released that's rising in the ranks, so I figured we'd have him come on and talk about both, because who better than the inventor himself?
So what is this, Super?
Yeah, it's marketplace. A lot of people have been putting marketplaces on Nostr, and I decided to make an easy tool for doing that. So you come to this page, and you can just start listing products, and they'll be listed on Nostr, and then you can sell items for Bitcoin, which is cool. That's the whole thing.
So if I'm like, let's say I have an app like Plebster, for example, is this something that could be easily implemented in there, or would it take a little bit more work, or it doesn't really need that?
It doesn't really need any work. Yes, you can implement it into whatever you want. I imagine that the use case that people will mostly do is that they'll make a store on here and then link to it from their blog or website, because it's kind of hard to set up a store, and it usually costs quite a bit of money. But this is totally free because it's using Nostr. So
where did you get the idea from? Like, really? Because it's a great name. I love the name Superstore. Where did you get the idea from?
Well, you gave me the idea for the name.
Mm-hmm.
But I got the idea because I was talking with Toshi. Toshi made some artwork that he wanted to sell, and I told him I would help him sell it. And when I told him I would do that, it reminded me of how awful it is to set up a store. It's a pain, and it takes a long time, and there's so many things to configure. And so I was like, I bet I can make something that's simpler. So then I looked around, and I found Scoresby. The Scoresby website looked like a store that I wanted to implement.
Scoresby.
Yeah, the one we get those posters from.
Yeah.
I liked the way his website looks, and I wanted to make something that was as simple as his. It was just image, button, price. It's like, no, it's simple.
Dude, that's so. I love that you said that, because that just shows to how plebs can help devs. literally Scoresby, all he does is make this Bitcoin art, right? And he goes to the meetups, he goes to the bit devs and everything. He talks to all of us. He's a good friend. And then he's been telling you about the stuff that he's making, and we're trying to help him, put it out there more so more people will buy it. I think, Janet Yellen just bought some. But it shows like you got inspired literally from a pleb trying to sell his art.
Yeah,
cool.
And actually I saw him at BitDevs last night, and I got to tell him that I was like looking at his site while I was designing, Superstore.
What did he say?
They don't look similar to each other. It's just I think they are similarly simple in terms of the interface.
That's awesome. You got Tony Giorgio in the comments. He says, "This is a great demonstration of the power of client-side code. Well done combining all those privacy-enhancing things you've done over the past year." What does he mean by power of client-side code? What does that mean?
Well, most stores you need to install server-side software in order to run them, but Nostr kind of saves us from having to write server-side code. We can use relays for that instead, and so everything that I wrote here is just hosted in a browser. Like you can just download an index.html file and run it in your browser, which means it's really easy to run. Like you can run it on a laptop or a Raspberry Pi or whatever you want, or you can even run it on a cell phone, and it works. Like it doesn't even have to be online all the time because it's client side. Whereas a server, if it was a server side code, it costs money to do those.
Yeah. Pretty impressive, Super Testnet.
Have you thought about maybe aggregating everything everyone's selling across all Superstore stores into like one page?
Yeah, I have. In order to, I've also thought about adding categories. So like I would like to add categorization so that you could pull in all of the people who are trying to sell Bitcoin for fiat, or vice versa, or sell all the people who are selling boats or vehicles or something. So categories would be really cool. But one of the things that you need, I don't have a reputation service built into this yet, and that's been a feature request. And I don't think you can really aggregate things without that, because then if you don't have some kind of reputation or escrow or something, you don't know who's going to send you your product or not. But so that's why the initial version, my hope is that people will link to it from their website, so that if you're on somebody's website who you already trust, then you just use their store because you trust them.
Yeah, I would love to see. Sorry, go for it, Keyan.
No, I wasn't going to say anything.
I would love to see like a Costco version of Superstore where you get an aggregator that just like is able to pull all this data from Superstore items and then create departments like all together in this website. I don't know if that can be done, but that would be really cool.
That's what we were just discussing, but yeah, it requires that's exactly what we're talking about. But
he's also discussing it.
Yeah. I think he was saying it would get spammed basically, perhaps with untrustworthy retailers, and so you'd need some way to prevent them from showing up or people from buying from them if they're unreputable.
Or a cultivation. You could, or I forget what it's called. Content curation. You could have somebody who like approves your store, and then if he approves it, it can go into his Costco,
right.
or his version of Craigslist or something.
Nosco.
So.
Somebody go make that. That'd
Cool.
be awesome. Okay, cool. The next top story is Taproot Channel Transactions. This is from rsync25, April 25th. One comment, 4,281 cents. What is going on here?
Yeah, so this one's really in the weeds.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
As far as protocol stuff, but Elle
Taproot in the weeds. Got it.
Elle Mouton or Mutton, I don't know how you pronounce it, but she's been writing posts on Taproot as it relates to Lightning specifically. I think she formerly was at Lightning Labs and is now on her own doing stuff. But last week she wrote about Taproot and MuSig2, and that proposal, as far as MuSig2, I think has been finalized. So now she's taken.
Now we just need to skip MuSig3 and jump straight to MuSig5. That's the way.
Yes, I agree. The higher the number, the better, as I understand. So yeah, MuSig2 will be at some point outmoded by MuSig5. Anyway, it's a great if you're into protocol stuff, you want to learn deeply about Taproot channels. As I understand this is like, these are kind of all the precursors to getting things like PTLCs and stuff on Lightning. But this is kind of the next step, is having channels that are that use Taproot transactions to create them, and it'll be a very large overhaul on the Lightning Network. It appears that it's there's still a proposal getting worked on, and I guess once we'll see that, we'll begin to see some of the benefit of having Taproot on the Lightning Network. One of the ones mentioned in this post was privacy, is you can make a cooperative close on a Taproot channel look like an ordinary Taproot spend, and that's that. If you want more, I would go and read it. But I love that these things are on the internet. I don't have much use for learning this at the moment, but if I ever want to learn this stuff or have a need for it, which is usually what motivates me to learn something, I know where I can go and find it.
Yeah.
They have great diagrams too. Did you read this, Super?
No, I haven't read this one. I'm glad that Taproot is moving forward into Lightning channels. I think they'll get cheaper when we not that they're that expensive already, but it's nice to make things more efficient. So.
Hey, Super, so just for the stackers at home, just so we can get a good baseline. What is Taproot again? Just like quick.
Taproot is a new version of Bitcoin's scripting language that lets us do more complex contracts and with better privacy, especially if you're using multi-signature stuff, which all Lightning channels use. They're all multi-signature things. So when you use those, it's better to use Taproot because you get more efficient stuff, more private stuff, and more complex stuff.
Is anybody currently using any of these Taproot type of contracts? Or
Moon Wallet uses Taproot contracts to do their submarine swaps. Then LND has I think mostly migrated over to using Taproot now, but their main thing, the channels are still in the old style. They're working up to that. And then ordinals and inscriptions use Taproot as well. So
awesome.
Those are the main.
So it sounds like it's being utilized out there. Keyan, what do you think about where it's headed?
What's headed? Taproot?
Yeah, just in general.
It seems good. It seems good in general. I mean, it did allow inscriptions, which people are upset about, but otherwise, it seems pretty cool. It seemed like the interest was mostly privacy and getting the change in, and then additionally some cost savings in anticipation of hordes of people joining the Bitcoin network someday, which is always good. It's like privacy, cost savings seem to be like the two main things that core developers are really focused on.
Yeah, a lot of people are upset about the whole ordinals thing. It seems like it's gotten way more momentum now. Cool. The next top story is Swap Service, a nostr order book for submarine swaps and earning yield on Bitcoin. This is 8,521 sats, 6 comments from another Super Testnet. Wait a minute. This is the first time ever
Not a different Super Testnet.
One poster has had 2 top posts in the same week on Stacker News Live. Keyan, I'm telling all the stackers right now, this is, I'm calling this, are you rigging this thing?
The thing is, I figured out the secret. I figured out how to hack the algorithm. All you got to do is write really good content, and then you'll make it to the top. So that's, I don't know, this is perhaps a flaw in Stacker News.
Yeah, we'll have to revisit this. I really want more
you need
fluff.
To fix it. You need to
fluff
put more
pieces
fluff.
on.
Can we get something like something out there just to fix this?
Yeah, I think what we really need to do is titles with all caps or that have like breaking and Justin in the front. Those need to be the ones that go to the top.
And then paid ads in the thing. I think what the stackers probably want.
Yeah. We'll have to think about this more. I'll have my research team work on it.
Obviously, we're kidding. Keyan, Super, tell us about Swap Service.
Swap Service is an attempt to decentralize one of the most cool things that you can do with the Lightning Network, which is swaps. There's 2 different layers that we use Bitcoin on. We use it on the base layer where there's regular Bitcoin addresses, and we use it on the Lightning Network where there are Lightning invoices. And sometimes it's kind of hard to bridge the 2, but submarine swaps are one way to do it. And there are a few swap providers. Moon is one. Lightning Labs has their Loop service. There's Bolts Exchange. There's a few services that offer a trustless or a trust minimized bridge between the 2. But they actually make money from doing this.
Do they?
Yeah, swaps cost you can charge a fee for them.
How much?
But just whatever you pick.
Nominal amount, or are we talking like?
It's whatever the service provider picks.
Okay.
So I wanted something for plebs to use with their own nodes so that they could charge fees for doing these things. And then hopefully with more competition, prices will fall.
Ah, I see what you did there, Super Testnet.
Yeah, and I also want to use this. Like, I don't like running Lightning nodes, but I do like building software that can bridge between the Lightning network and the base layer, because the base layer is so much easier to build for. So I wanted a service like this so that other people can run Lightning nodes for me, basically, and then I can just use them through swaps to do whatever I want.
Keyan, what do you think about what he built here?
I think it's awesome. I like to see more things like this existing. I think swapping is relatively centralized. Like you could probably list out maybe like 10 of the most common swap services that are centralized. And so something like this, should it be adopted and used by more individuals, would create a lot of like market competition, and we'd probably reach a lower fee for doing swaps. I mean, you might even see them, not be very expensive at all, or maybe you could get paid to do them in some cases, depending on how the market matures. But yeah, I brought one of the reasons I brought Super on here was to talk about this intelligently, because I haven't looked at it very deeply. But I think it's another cool use of Nostr that isn't social.
Yeah. So how would you implement that into that ecosystem then? Or would you? Or I guess you would, right?
Which ecosystem?
The nostr ecosystem.
Yeah, it's using nostr as the mechanism for orchestrating these things. Because one of the things you have to do with a swap is you gotta interactively sign a partially signed Bitcoin transaction, you and whoever the swap provider is. So you've got to have some way of communicating with them, and nostr is a great communication resource. So that's what I use as the transport layer for transporting the PSPT back and forth. And then I also use it for discovery, because it's kind of hard to find these swap providers. If you know one of their websites, that helps. But like, it's hard for plebs to run a website. So Nostr kind of saves us there as well, because you can make websites and aggregators that bring together a lot of different people's content.
Has anybody started using it? Is there anybody using it right now? Or
there were 5 users earlier today, and 0 of them worked.
So it's not working.
I don't know. It works on my machine. Like, I got really worried, and I did it on my machine, and it worked fine. And I'm like, okay. So I was talking to one of them. I have to debug and figure out why it's not working for people.
Okay, well, I mean, this is where at least you started the push in this direction. Maybe somebody else will come behind you and help you out.
And shout out to Bolts Exchange. Like 5 seconds after I released it, they DM'd me and said, "We found a critical coin stealing vulnerability in your code." And then they told me how to fix it, and they were totally right. I was not validating the size of pre-images in Lightning invoices, and so it would have treated an invalid invoice as a valid one, and then you could lose money through that. But it's fixed, so that's nice. But yeah, shout out to them, because it was scarily soon after I released the code they found a vulnerability.
Well, it's like move fast, build things, right? I mean, you're not expecting to like hit home runs and for it to be like,
Well, I am at
perfect.
the top of Stacker News.
Yeah, you are. So
look at that.
Yeah, I think from what I can tell, I know you worked really hard on this last night. I came in this morning like at 7 or 6:30, whatever it was, and Super was like, "Guess what I built?" And he was showing me, and I was like, "Wow, this is."
Yeah, I stayed up till 3:30 a.m. and then I got up at 7 a.m. to show Car and get it out there, because I wanted it to be done in time to climb up the ranks and be the number 1 for the week.
Gosh, where do you get this tenacity from? Jeez.
We've also learned Exius told us what he calculated Super's average post earnings, and apparently on average he earns $2 per Stacker News post, which is pretty cool. Probably has to be like one of the highest averages on the site.
You guys are basically the reason I still exist and can eat. So yeah.
I mean, I think you have like almost 20 posts. So that means, you've earned about $40. So that's a couple of slushies at Gem Gems. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Do you want me to stick around for the rest, or are we done now?
It's up to you. We're going to talk about the Argentinian situation, and then we're going to talk about the guy who works 2 jobs and cars.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I just got a message on the thing. So much stuff going The next top story is Argentina. The house of cards is beginning to sway. Sway? No, sway. This is from FBV00034 comments, 8,102 sats. What's going on in Argentina?
Apparently, bad things are going on. I don't. So they linked to this article that was written in Spanish that I had Brave browser translate for me. And I'm trying to understand how all of this works, but I think in some of these countries the exchange rate with the U.S. dollar and their local currency is managed by the government, and then that's also influenced. I think it's also influenced heavily by the IMF, which I think is a source of these dollars oftentimes. And it appears that this article specifically is talking about a devaluation of the Argentine peso of 50% relative to the dollar, and that they closed down markets to prevent any kind of craziness from happening. And I don't really understand how currency markets work in countries like this. I've never visited Argentina, but I mean it's really sad generally. He lists out a few facts here. Their inflation rate is 104%, which is crazy. And then their interest rate set by the central bank is 81%, which is also just crazy. And that still means the banks, when they loan out money in real terms, are losing money if the inflation rate continues to be this high. What's kind of interesting is it's somewhat of an extreme example of a situation we have going on in the United States, where we have pretty high interest rates and pretty high inflation. In real terms, banks are probably losing money. This is like 100x, well, not 100x, more like 10x the problem, but kind of just sad in general. Have either of you been to Argentina?
No. Pero si alguien que viva en Argentina quiere informarnos, pueden venir a Stacker News Live y vamos a aprender juntos, ¿sí?
Simone, I say.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah, so I think we got Perturnio. He said, I lived there back when BTC USD was at 600, but most of my orange pilling fell in deaf ears. I hope many of them already realized why it was important to allocate part of their savings into it. It hurts me to see how central powers blankety blank the country so badly. It's a beautiful place. Then we had N3PO. He said, same here. It was amazing to see that Argentinians were not really interested in Bitcoin, even though they have a crazy high inflation. I asked them 7 years later if they bought Bitcoin. None of them did. Pretty stunning to me. Yeah, I mean, how do you go about that, Keyan? I mean, it's like, when it happens, like the way it just happened, like, do you think that's a similar thing we're going to see more of? Like, I mean, how do you stop? Like, is it just evangelizing more and more Bitcoiners to step up? What do you think?
Oh, you mean how do we get Bitcoin? How do we get Bitcoin in the hands of Argentinians?
Or people who need it the most around the world? Like, they're obviously, like, from the comments the stackers are posting, they're not listening.
I think we work harder on Bitcoin stuff. I think that's really I think Super. Did you have a post on Twitter about this where you were like, or something like the Bitcoin's UX is so bad, people would still prefer to use the US dollar in these situations, right?
And I suspect even the Argentine peso. I bet if you went out into Argentina, in the middle of wherever people are, and you asked 10 random people, would you rather have whatever the equivalent of $100 is in pesos or one Bitcoin? Most people would prefer the $100 in pesos, because Bitcoin is has such bad branding and such bad user experience. It's so little accepted anywhere that people don't want to use it. And so I think it's sad. The reason I posted that was in response to a Bitcoin magazine post where they said, Bitcoin fixes this. Argentina's inflation is out of control. Everyone should use Bitcoin. I was like, we've had 14 years and we still haven't gotten it right.
The best answer we have is Bitcoin fixes this still.
But it doesn't. Clearly, it hasn't fixed it because no one wants it. So we got to work harder to make Bitcoin more. I'm trying to work harder in order to make Bitcoin more palatable to folks so that they'll want to use it.
Yeah, I mean, we had the Austin Bitcoin Design Club yesterday at the Commons here in Austin, and that was something that we were talking about, was like, how do you make, all of this much easier. And I don't know, man. If you look at some of the Ethereum stuff, like they're just so far ahead than what we can actually do on the Bitcoin side. There's just no funding for it, and everything is just like grassroots. And I know there's designers out there that are trying. I mean, Steven was there presenting. I mean, the voltage stuff. I mean, you saw that super, but like, I think it's just a lack of funding and then a lack of deployment of capital. But
yeah, I think
crazy.
I think you're mostly talking about UI, because I don't think the user experience on Ethereum is much better.
Oh, I don't know. The wallet that they showed last night was really, really slick. The one that Sahil showed. Yeah,
but again, that's UI. Slickness is a UI thing.
No, the path. Like, you know how you have like the Bitcoin Beach wallet, and it's like all these numbers, and then like the way to send a payment. It was much easier on the Ethereum wallet because it looked like sending a wire, basically. Does that make sense?
That sounds harder.
Yeah, I don't like.
Okay,
well, maybe I mean it's just because most wires are kind of tricky, but I think we get what you're saying.
Yeah.
The wallet made sending money easy.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that maybe that is but I often find with the Ethereum projects, they're usually they're making trade-offs to provide you that UX, and usually have a dependency on something relatively centralized. And most of the Bitcoin wallets will attempt to provide a more decentralized path to the same experience, and that might be showing up. But in general, I think that I think Super's point is pretty good, that we need to make Bitcoin's UX, Bitcoin's brand, a lot better.
I think like Wallet of Satoshi it's custodial and everybody hates it, but it's done a great job of like sending zaps, sending lightning sats and all that stuff. Could it be better? Obviously, but yeah, this is I want to bring up one other comment that I saw here. I'm trying to find it. Yeah, so Victory said, how hard can it be to fix your currency? Seriously. And then 0390664E7C said, extremely hard. When you don't have a reserve currency and world trade is done in someone else's money, what you can do is limited. They need dollars to serve debts, which are denominated in dollars. The debt givers, the same IMF, they keep running with here, forces them to sell everything of value they have and invest in resources only as conditions for the loans. That means they can't create much value-added production in the country. Meanwhile, the world market prices for their resources are out of their hands. They get less inflow. They then outlaw in dollars. Those dollars appreciate. So he goes through the whole thing, but it sounds like it's extremely hard. It sounds like, I don't mean to laugh, but it sounds like it's extremely hard. Gosh. What do you think? What do you think it's coming to America, or is it already here?
I mean, if it's going to come to America, it'll probably come to America last. But I mean, this is a problem they're having as a result of they're still attempting to get dollars. So when they're having this problem with the renminbi or something, then maybe that'll be a concern for us. But or when we're trying to get the renminbi and we can't, that'll be when that happens. But we still are like, we're relative to Argentinians, we're very close to the money printers, so we're in pretty good shape still.
I saw a post yesterday that demonstrated like school budgets for like high schools and middle schools, and it showed that the amount that they spend on food has increased by over 20% since last year, which is like it's interesting because they try to say like inflation is only 7% or whatever, but you can't really hide it from your budget. If you have a school budget and they have to buy this food, maybe you can remove items from your basket of goods in your inflation tracking thing, but that's not going to show up in a budget. Like a budget's actually going to show you the real inflation rate, which is much higher. So I thought that was interesting. Like to a lesser extent, we've got really bad inflation too. They've got 104%. We've got 25% on food.
Yeah.
So it's pretty bad.
Yeah. I mean, maybe that's just not on food either. I know at least rents in Austin have gone up at least that high.
Property taxes.
Yeah. So yeah, we do have a bad situation ourselves.
I recommend a tent. It's very good.
Actually, that brings us to so that rounds out the top 5 of the week, Stackers. But now we're going to jump into my top post and Keyan's top post. My top post was, what is the ideal Bitcoiner car? This is from Julian PH, 32 comments, 1,485 sats. This got into a whole debate. I thought it was just fascinating. They all like were talking about what is the ideal Bitcoiner car. I personally think it's a motorcycle, but Keyan, what do you think?
Given that you are not trying to continue living with your motorcycle and attempting to also buy a car.
I never not buying a car.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Unless you're giving it to me for free.
But his name is Car, so that's close.
Well, I mean, given that at least a week ago you were attempting
Well, no, you asked me if I wanted to purchase your car, and I was like, yeah, well, maybe if I can get like a friend discount, but
what?
But I mean, we haven't talked about it since, unless you want to talk about it right now.
We have talked about it, but I don't. Car. There's.
I was gonna buy for the Saggers listening. I was gonna buy Keyan's used car.
Yeah, but why?
Because it's used
if the
and it's old.
If the motorcycle is the ideal Bitcoiner car, why do you need?
Oh, that what you're going back to?
Yes,
it works.
Back to we're in it.
It works, dude. It gets you from point A to point B. It works. It works really well, and it's like $5 in gas. It's like living in a tent.
Yeah, but
I use a pedal bicycle.
Yeah, there's a reason why you're at some level unsatisfied with your ownership of a motorcycle because you can't always use your motorcycle.
All right, Keyan, then what's the ideal Bitcoiner car? I'm just trying to challenge your statement because I don't think you actually won the challenge.
Okay. But I think it's probably a vehicle that you can use under most circumstances that is pretty inexpensive, and won't break down on you, and you know, or will rarely break down on you. Everything breaks down, but that's probably what it is, I think, or no car. As Super said, you get a bike, you walk. I think Darth Coin in here is like, don't use a car.
I don't know. The cars are very, very good. Everybody uses a car in this lab. I'm just saying.
Not everyone.
Yeah.
What? I'm here.
Yeah, and I walk everywhere. I don't think I've driven into Pleb Lab one time.
Really?
Yeah, except when my wife came and she wanted us to drive, or like dropping stuff off here. But yeah.
Not that there's anything wrong with cars.
No.
I think cars are great.
Yeah. Cars are awesome.
I like what Satoshi Nakamoto says. He says, cars are money pits and are necessary in most cities. If you're willing to move to a neighborhood that is walkable with good public transit access, if you must buy a car, it should be small, old, and ugly. Something you won't give a blankety blank about if it gets dinged, scratched, or stolen. And buy with fiat, no financing, leasing, payments, something like a cheap Hyundai or a 1985 Datsun. What does a 1985 Datsun look like?
Oh, it's cool.
Is it?
It's probably really dope.
For the record, I will say, like, my motorcycle is pretty old. It's like it's early 2000 motorcycle. Super cheap to buy.
I had a Chevy Monte Carlo once, and it was my favorite car.
Oh, that's a Datsun truck.
So I recommend live a little. If you want to get a nice car, go for it. You don't have to buy into this nonsense.
Wait, do you have a driver's license, Super?
I used to.
Oh,
cool. When I had a cool car. I had a Chevy Monte Carlo, which I
really
crashed.
That's a Datsun right there?
Yeah.
It looks like it's not too bad.
I love this generation of cars. I used to have a 1984 Volkswagen Jetta.
What does that look like? 1984 Volkswagen Jetta?
Welcome to Car News with Car.
No, let's just see what I don't know what that looks like, Jetta. Oh, dude, that actually looks pretty good.
So this is like my car. Yeah.
It's like a James Bond car.
Yeah, it looks a little bit like a BMW from the same era, but it's not.
There you go.
Obviously.
How much did that cost you?
I paid $500 for it.
There you go. You found it.
Yeah, and it had 50,000 original miles on
it. Pro tip for driving: if you want to drive, first you've got to get a car, and then make sure you have your key on you. And then you can drive around.
Bazinga.
Pro tip.
That's pretty good.
Zap.
That's it. We're not ending right there, Keyan.
My bad. Oh.
You can't do that. I might actually just stop the stream.
I just had to discharge all the energy from that joke.
All right, Keyan, what's your top story of the week?
My top story of the week is this guy who works 2 jobs and earns priced in US dollars, $50,000. It sounds like he might be in Japan, based on some of the comments in there. But Yeah, he works 2 jobs doing, I think, front end work, front end development work. This is actually kind of more common than you think.
How does he do this?
I think he's just good at his job, and then people's expectations for their employees are pretty low. Especially if you get into a certain kind of organization where they're poorly managed or something, or just don't, they have more money than maybe they should. And you can kind of get by with doing 2 at once. He says the weird thing is he actually only works 3 to 4 days a week and 3 to 4 hours per day. So per job, he's working something like 10 hours per week, which is, pretty low.
Wow.
But you find, I think there are a lot, in my opinion, the hardest thing about this for me is, while he might be providing value for those companies, he's lying to them. And I think that's just,
wrong.
I think it's not cool. Because they probably have the expectation that he's working full time, and it sounds like he is actively misleading them into believing he's working full time.
Wow.
And
I used to know this guy at my previous job. He had like a friend that basically, I guess, got people like from different country, I guess India or somewhere there, like to do his work at this other remote MSP somewhere else. So he basically had 2 jobs. One was like the physical one he had to be in every day, and then the other one was like a remote one, and then he would have. So he was like making a lot of money.
Yeah. Do you have thoughts on this, Super?
Can you scroll down to where he explains why TypeScript sucks? I haven't read this post yet. It's like a delay.
I don't see it.
He said, "I'll explain why TypeScript sucks to prove that I'm."
He talks right there about JavaScript and React.
Yeah, looks like no one asked him.
Okay.
Oh, well.
You can ask him.
I think he talks about, I was like, I said, I immediately believe this when you said you hate TypeScript, and I'm not sure why. Just because I know TypeScript does have a productivity cost. And so if you were a person who was very interested in, I think, getting your work done faster, you definitely wouldn't use TypeScript. It also suggests to me he thinks about, because nearly every, I feel like it's somewhat of a mid stance to be like pro TypeScript. There are people who are experts who really like TypeScript, and but I think the overwhelming majority of like mid-range programmers really love TypeScript. It's like that meme where you have like the normal distribution, and it's like JavaScript, and then TypeScript in the middle. I know that, again, there are experts on the end that like
Where
TypeScript
does
too.
vanilla land?
Vanilla?
Yeah.
I think that would probably be on either end too. That's basic. What is
taking a mid stance on everything?
What is? I don't know. I actually don't know what the difference between vanilla and JavaScript and what I would call JavaScript. Aren't they the same thing?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I use vanilla. I like vanilla, and that might be biasing me in terms of
So because
labeling.
of all these frameworks, we have to like distinguish because TypeScript's JavaScript too, and so is Node.js. So
Yeah.
we have to distinguish what we mean.
Yeah.
So
But
the word vanilla.
yeah. Yeah. TypeScript. You can TypeScript is like an optional like type inference thing for JavaScript, but yeah, I don't know. I thought it was pretty. I thought it was just kind of interesting to hear, and I don't know. Also torn, because it's like, wow, you're productive and that's great. It's amazing. Maybe have things to learn from you about how to do your work. And on the other hand, it's just dishonest, because I'm sure those companies would prefer to have someone productive working in their full capacity. He's also not making that much money. Like you could work if he were like, I'm sure one of those companies would pay him that amount of money for him to spend all of his time on just their project, if he is actually that productive and providing that much value. So,
well,
yeah, that's my top story.
That's an interesting top story of the week. What do we got in top stackers and cowboys? Yeehaw! All right, Keyan.
Yeah, yeehaw! Giddy up, rope 'em.
Is this the super stat segment?
This is the super stat segment.
Woohoo!
with Super Testnet and Car. Anyway, we usually go over the top stackers, and Rsync looks like he stacked a lot this week. Joe, I sent him another 50K for a bounty that he did.
What bounty did you do?
He did. You put in an image link, and it'll detect that it's an image, and then you don't have to like mark it up in Markdown. I haven't merged it yet, but it's a good one. The Perturnio, Lady Luck, Kepford, Exius. I'm down there at the bottom, which is great. But we had a lot of big stackers this week.
That's great.
Yeah, and then spenders. See, I outspent everyone, I guess. Oh, it's probably from my my bounty thing. Snow, nostr relays. I think they were doing a lot of boosts this week. Ben Carmen, Blockchain B, JK14. I mean, spending's growing. We're getting some good spending.
It's good spending out there, Stacker.
How about Cowboys?
I love to see it.
I got comments on this.
Yes.
The stats. Yeah. When are you going to make it so I can hide my hat? I don't want people to see that I have a hat.
Okay. I guess I can make that fairly soon. It should be pretty easy. I'm doing Stacker News stuff right now, so I will consider adding that to my to-do list.
I'm still Stackers. This is Car speaking now. I'm waiting for you guys to drop a bounty, or I'll drop the bounty. I need you to tell me how to get a cowboy hat. I still don't know how to get a cowboy hat.
I can tell you how to get a cowboy hat.
Really? How do you get a cowboy hat?
Spend 100 sats in a week.
Really? Is that it?
In a day, I mean.
Is that all it is? We got it. We got him, Stackers. Yeehaw! Woo, doggy.
If you spend 100 sats in a day, you get a hack. You get a hat.
Oh, finally. Figured it out. The riddle.
Wow. Well, I don't know if that's true, but I'll have to check with
I'm gonna try it.
my hat provider.
I'm gonna try
and
it today.
See if
start it.
If it's true or not, and we
trend.
might have to make some changes.
Who are the top Cowboys this week?
Top Cowboys, Austin, still at the top of the charts.
87 days. Wow.
Yeah, CLR, BTC Manual probably has one of the better streaks. Looks like my friend GMD might have fallen out. He did. Oh man. Yeah, Darth Coin, who might be leaving Stacker News due to us considering
what is it my fault?
Adding ChatGPT.
Is it me? Is it Car?
Stuff.
I like Darth Coin. Where are you going? No, seriously, what happened?
What happened?
I put up a bounty saying if someone can implement ChatGPT summarization thing, it's on the front page.
Is it?
But that I would pay for that bounty if someone implements that feature because.
What do you want to do again?
Summarize articles that are posted.
Can you pull up this post so I can see? This is important. We can't lose Darth. He writes a lot of amazing articles. Where is he at? Where's the post at? Oh, you got a BTC++ session thread? Nice. Okay. Upon link creation, create a short 5-sentence summary and the link's content use ChatGPT and store it. You should probably be somewhere near related and perhaps be collapsible. So it would just auto grab the link and then drop it into the first post, I guess. Is that what you're saying?
What?
So let's say I drop a Thriller Bitcoin post or whatever. Mm-hmm. It would automatically create a summary of it and then drop it as a first post, right?
No, it wouldn't necessarily be in a comment. It'd maybe be in its own section. The summary should probably be somewhere near related. So that would be probably a location for it. But it would just be a way for you to, at a quick glance, see what you might learn from an article.
I typically do write summaries whenever I do a post in the first comment, and no one ever tips me.
Yeah. I think it might depend on the content itself. Whether, if someone's on the fence as far as whether they want to actually read it.
Well, what's the difference between that? This is just me wondering. Like, what's the difference between that and like just a hover and seeing the web page, or is that just as annoying? I don't know.
They're different things. Because like what's the difference between a social media preview link and a summary of what's actually in the article content?
And then Darth Coin. So what's Darth Coin's complaint about it then?
He's like anti-AI.
He's anti-AI. Yeah. Or what did he say? I proposed something else. Who is doing himself a TLDR? The links is posting will get more rewards. who is posting only a link will get less rewards. Incentive for proof of work, not for having ChatGPT. Idiocy.
Yes, super.
I forget. I had a thing.
Yeah.
If you scroll back up, I think it might.
Okay, trigger.
Oh yeah, it did. It did. I think that there is a tendency among users to prefer tipping the article rather than tipping a summary comment in it. At least I find myself thinking like, if I liked the article, I would rather bump that number up so you get higher in the rankings rather than bump up the comment, one of the comments in it. So that might be, if people might like your summaries that you make, but they might not like
it enough to tip it.
They might not tip that comment because instead they're like, oh, that was a really good summary. I'm going to tip this
article.
article.
So you're saying because I put the summary in the first comment, they're tipping the art, which I do get tipped on the article all the time.
Yeah,
they're tipping it because I leave the summary.
I would do that because there's an extra benefit.
You see the OP.
You get an extra benefit from tipping the article, which is that you rise in the ranks. So I would rather tip someone's article than tip one of their comments.
And if in that case, then I guess, is it possible to do like an auto GBT like summary as the first comment, and then any sats that thing gets, it gets redistributed to stackers, or is that crazy? I don't know.
I mean, I don't think it's crazy. It's just like, what is that the optimal UX, or
Gotcha,
is it just something you just proposed off the top of your head?
Just proposed off the top of my head.
Yeah. So that's kind of.
Personally, I think it would be better to have ChatGPT as a comment bot that posts comment summaries.
That's what I just said.
Yeah, I'm agreeing. I agree with you. I think yours is better than having it in an official feature.
Yeah, I think I would. First, obviously, I think for me, I just need to see what it looks like first, and can I turn it off and on? That would be my thing.
Yeah. Yep. And I think someone proposed in the comments that they were interested, or they're already developing a ChatGPT bot for Stacker News, and maybe that'll, I told them that would be sufficient for the bounty as well, if that works well, and but
give them the toggle. Off or on.
Yeah, I mean, I'll think about it and consider like users using it, and that's
can't lose
usually
Darth. Darth read some amazing stuff. I would be really sad if he left because then I can't read all.
I don't want Darth to leave either, but he gets so how do I say, he could become inconsolable on and uncompromising on some of this stuff, and it's hard. It can be difficult to try to please him and other people.
You do you, Darth. Never change.
Yeah. Well, what do you guys? Is that everything? I guess I got to bring up the boosts. We got a lot of the boosts this week. What are you guys doing this? What are you guys doing this? Podcast. What are you guys doing this week?
I like how RHR does it at the
beginning.
Yeah.
Okay, we can do it for the beginning.
The beginning. I mean, I don't know if it makes sense for our pod, but I like how they do it at the beginning because then it's like it's done and over. And I could skip through it. You think in general it's stupid?
Well, I want to incentivize the stackers to keep comment, and they have questions, right? Like,
this is bad incentives. It ruins your podcast.
No, Blockchain Book has a question. Ellen Bits is cool, but it's extremely limited when running a Tor node. But if you can run a clear net node, it's awesome. He zapped us. And then the Wild Hustle said Stacker News is underrated. When Stacker News, nostr bot. There you go. Question.
All right. Well, I think Car asked what we're doing this weekend. I think I'm going to be doing work, and there's Bitcoin Plus. There's a party here tonight at Plub Lab, so I'll probably eat a burger and then not get drunk again. But
Super, what are you doing this weekend?
Fixing whatever's wrong with the software release today, and then doing a Space Chains talk, and then hopefully making something cool for next week.
Yeah, what's the Space Chains talk about tomorrow? Just Space Chains?
About Space Chains.
Nice. There you go.
It's about Bitcoin side chains and how to make better ones than the ones we currently have.
Awesome. Well, thank you for doing what you do, Super Testnet. It was awesome to have you on the show. Do you want to help Keyan do the zap out?
we could harm
cheek to cheek.
Zap.
Zap.